You think having more options makes life better, right? More freedom, more control, more happiness. But here's the plot twist no one wants to admit. The more choices you have, the more miserable you become. Think about it. 50 shows on Netflix, and you still end up scrolling for 30 minutes. Hundreds of outfits, but nothing to wear. Unlimited career paths, but somehow you feel more lost than ever. We're living in the era of infinite options, and somehow we've never been more overwhelmed, stressed, and paralyzed. Welcome to the paradox of choice, freedom, or overwhelm. Today, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood psychological traps of modern life, the idea that more equals better. Spoiler, it doesn't. This audiobook breaks down why too many options silently sabotage your peace of mind, drain your energy, and make even simple decisions feel like mental marathons. We'll explore the science behind why abundance doesn't equal happiness, the hidden mental costs of endless possibilities, and, most importantly, how to reclaim clarity, confidence, and calm in a world that's constantly screaming pick. By the end of this journey, you'll learn how to make decisions faster, feel lighter, protect your mental bandwidth, and finally understand why less truly is more. Let's break the myth. Let's decode the overwhelm. Let's take back control, one decision at a time. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Endless Options. We live in a world where more is the default setting. More apps, more clothes, more notifications, more opportunities, more paths to choose from. On the surface, it feels like freedom, like someone handed you the keys to a kingdom built entirely around possibility. It feels empowering. It feels modern. It feels like progress. But beneath the excitement, something strange happens. The thrill of having endless options slowly transforms into pressure. The seduction of choice. It starts small. You open Netflix to relax, and suddenly you're scrolling for 20 minutes, paralyzed by genres, thumbnails, and top 10 lists. You go to buy a simple black t-shirt and discover 47 variations: slim fit, relaxed fit, heavy cotton, stretch cotton, cropped, oversized, boxy. You should be thrilled, but instead, your brain whispers, what if I choose the wrong one? What if there's a better option? What if I waste money, time, effort? And suddenly, what was supposed to be simple becomes mentally exhausting. The promise that never delivers. For decades, society has sold the idea that more choices equal greater satisfaction. More career paths, more relationship opportunities, more lifestyles, more ways to earn, learn, and live. But here's the inconvenient truth. The human mind wasn't built to handle hundreds of decisions every single day. Every option requires evaluation, comparison, prediction, imagination, emotional investment. And because you can't choose everything, every decision becomes a chance for regret. Choice as a mirage. The illusion works like this. Choice feels like freedom. Freedom feels like power. Power feels like happiness. But in reality, too many choices, mental overload. Mental overload, decision paralysis. Paralysis, stress, frustration, and self-blame. It's like walking into a buffet with 100 dishes and somehow walking out hungry because you couldn't decide what to commit to. Why we think we want more? Humans crave possibility. It sparks hope, excitement, and imagination. But real satisfaction doesn't come from unlimited options. It comes from clarity, direction, confidence, purpose, alignment. When everything is possible, nothing feels certain. When every option is available, no choice feels special. And when the world tells you you can be anything, you quietly panic because you don't know where to begin. The setup for the paradox. This chapter sets the stage for one powerful truth. We aren't overwhelmed because life got harder. We're overwhelmed because choices multiplied faster than our ability to process them. As we move forward, you'll learn why this overload happens, how it rewires your emotions, and what you can do to reclaim your peace of mind in a world obsessed with unlimited options. Chapter 2: When More Becomes Less. The Paradox Revealed. If Chapter 1 was about feeling the problem, Chapter 2 reveals the science, psychology, and real-world consequences behind it. This is where the illusion shatters, where more choices stops sounding like freedom and starts looking like a trap carefully disguised as empowerment. Let's dive deep. Magnifying glass tilted left, the birth of the paradox. In the early 2000s, psychologist Barry Schwartz introduced a radical idea that flipped the modern world on its head. Too many choices can make us miserable. People laughed at first. How can more be bad? Isn't choice the foundation of freedom? But Schwartz didn't rely on opinions. He relied on research, revealing a clear pattern. When humans face excessive options, three destructive things happen. We become anxious. We fear making the wrong choice. We often choose nothing at all. This is the core of the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the less satisfied we become. Warning: too many choices equals mental overload. Imagine your brain as a device with limited RAM. Every option you evaluate eats up a little more memory. Compare, contrast, predict outcomes, consider alternatives, imagine regrets. Multiply this by 20 options, 50, 100. Eventually, the RAM runs out. This leads to decision fatigue, where your brain basically says, "I'm done. I can't think anymore." And when you're fatigued, you either pick the safest, least exciting option, or avoid choosing entirely. It's why supermarkets with 200 cereal brands don't make shoppers happier. They make them overwhelmed. Collision real-world example: the jam study. One of the most famous studies on this subject involved something simple: jam samples. Researchers set up 2 tasting stations. Station A, 24 types of jam. Station B, 6 types of jam. The results shocked everyone. The 24 jam station attracted more attention, but led to almost zero purchases. The 6 jam station attracted fewer people, but generated 10 times more purchases. Why? Because big selection equals big confusion. Small selection equals simple decision. Brain the hidden costs: anxiety, regret, and second-guessing. When choices expand, so do expectations. If you have 100 options, you assume the perfect one must be in there. And if you're unhappy, it must be your fault. This creates heavy check mark, more pressure. What if I choose wrong? Heavy check mark, more self-blame. I should have researched more. I should have known better. Heavy check mark, more regret. Even after choosing, you wonder if another option was better. This is why people feel worse after choosing among 50 phone plans than choosing among 3. Not because they picked badly, but because the freedom itself created psychological weight. Counterclockwise arrows button, the regret loop. Why you never feel fully satisfied. After making a choice, your brain does something sneaky. It replays all the other options you didn't pick. This creates small blue diamond FOMO, fear you missed a better option, small blue diamond comparison thinking. Even after the decision, small blue diamond lower satisfaction, because alternatives haunt you. The outcome? You enjoy your choice less, simply because other choices existed. This is why buying a laptop feels stressful. Choosing a career path feels terrifying. Deciding who to date feels complicated. Even picking a restaurant becomes a debate. It's not you. It's the environment you're living in. Chart-decreasing modern life makes it worse. In the past, there were fewer careers, fewer schools, fewer products, fewer relationships, fewer lifestyle paths. Today, the whole world is at your fingertips, literally. Just consider dating apps. Hundreds of potential matches, all a single swipe away. But does this abundance make people happier? Absolutely not. It creates endless comparison, endless doubt, endless what-ifs. This is the paradox in action. More choices, less fulfillment. Speech balloon, the brutal truth. We evolved to hunt, gather, and survive. not to decide between 113 types of shampoo. The modern world has overloaded ancient brains with futuristic possibilities, and that overload is slowly stealing our joy. Chapter 3: Why Our Brains Break Under Abundance. If Chapters 1 and 2 open your eyes to the problem, Chapter 3 takes you into the actual machinery of your mind, the psychology, biology, and subconscious wiring behind why too much choice feels like drowning instead of freedom. We're not just talking theory. We're talking how your brain is built and why it simply wasn't designed for modern life's endless decisions. Brace yourself. This is the chapter where everything starts to make sense. Your brain is ancient. Your world is not. Let's start with a reality check. Your brain is over 200,000 years old. Your world, with infinite food choices, career paths, videos, products, apps, people, is maybe 20 years old. That mismatch alone explains 80% of your overwhelm. You were biologically designed for eat this or don't eat this, run or fight, stay or move. A handful of decisions. Simple, survival-driven choices. Now, you make 35,000 choices a day. No wonder your mental battery drains before lunch. Firecracker: Why the Brain Hates Too Many Options 1. Every choice consumes energy. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's total energy, even though it's only 2% of your body. Every decision equals an energy withdrawal from your mental bank. When choices multiply, withdrawals multiply. Result? Mental exhaustion, decision fatigue, overwhelm. 2. The prefrontal cortex gets overloaded. This part of your brain handles problem solving, planning, evaluating options, predicting outcomes, but has limited processing capacity. Think of it like opening 30 browser tabs. Sure, it works for a bit, then everything slows down. Too many choices crash your mental browser. 3. The fear of loss is stronger than the joy of gain. This is called loss aversion. When you choose one thing, you automatically lose all the others. Even if you're gaining something amazing, your brain focuses on what you are not choosing. This makes the right choice feel terrifying, because every option comes with 10 invisible losses attached. 4. Too many options trigger the what-if spiral. Your brain goes, what if I choose wrong? What if this one is slightly better? What if I regret this later? What if I miss my best opportunity? This is exactly what creates anxiety, paralysis, procrastination, second-guessing. The more choices you have, the louder the inner critic becomes. 5. The dopamine trap. Here's a secret. Your brain loves the search way more than the decision. Scrolling through options equals dopamine. Choosing equals responsibility, fear, pressure. This is why people get stuck scrolling Netflix for 40 minutes, then feel too drained to watch anything. Your brain is addicted to browsing. Choosing ends the dopamine party, so you avoid it. Magnifying glass tilted left maximizers versus satisficers. The two types of decision makers. Psychology splits people into two groups. Small blue diamond 1. Maximizers. These are the best outcome at all costs people. They compare endlessly, research obsessively, reopen decisions, doubt their choices, feel regret even after choosing well. Maximizers often achieve better results, but feel worse inside. They live in continuous mental turbulence. Small blue diamond 2. Satisficers. These are the good enough people. They choose faster, stress less, enjoy their decision, avoid mental overload. They aren't careless. They're strategic. They set standards, then pick the first option that meets those standards. Result? More peace, more clarity, more confidence. Ever notice how some people seem calmer? They're not luckier. They're satisficers. Fire the opportunity cost problem. Opportunity cost equals the pain of all the paths you didn't take. The more choices you have, the more painful these invisible losses become. Example: choosing a job. You're not just choosing one job. You're psychologically losing the salary of job A, the stability of job B, the flexibility of job C, the prestige of job D, and your mind keeps replaying those alternate lives. This is why people change careers often, switch majors, jump between passions, constantly start over, feel stuck even when achieving success. Not because they're confused, but because they're drowning in the weight of unseen alternatives. Chart decreasing decision fatigue, the silent enemy. When your brain is burned out from too many decisions, it goes into autopilot. This leads to heavy checkmark, impulsive decisions, grabbing junk food because you're tired, heavy checkmark, avoidance. I'll decide later, and later never comes. Heavy checkmark, relying on defaults, keeping subscriptions you no longer use. Heavy checkmark, emotional decisions. Because logical thinking shuts down, decision fatigue is why. CEOs wear the same outfits. Athletes follow strict routines. Monks simplify their environments. Successful creators reduce distractions. Clarity requires fewer choices, not more. Speech balloon, the hard truth. You don't struggle because you're weak. You struggle because your modern world demands decisions your ancient brain was never built to handle. It's not your fault. It's your wiring. Chapter 4. When freedom turns into pressure. At first glance, having options feels like a blessing. It sounds like the ultimate proof that you're in control of your life. You're free to choose what to eat, what to wear, what to study, who to date, where to live, what to buy, and even what to believe. But as you begin navigating adulthood, something strange happens. That freedom slowly transforms into a quiet pressure that sits on your shoulders and follows you everywhere. It's the pressure to make the right choice. Not just a good choice, but the perfect one. And this expectation doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from countless small ones. Walk into a supermarket and stare down an aisle with 35 different types of bread. Scroll through Netflix for 20 minutes and still feel unsure about what to watch. Browse through social media and feel overwhelmed by the endless paths other people seem to be following. The world has shifted from offering you a few decent options to bombarding you with an infinite buffet of possibilities. And here's the twist. Every new option feels like another silent responsibility. You don't just pick, you evaluate, rank, predict, compare, a second guess. Suddenly, freedom doesn't feel so free anymore. The silent weight of choice. Choice overload is rarely dramatic. It doesn't hit you like a crisis or a breakdown. It shows up quietly. It whispers instead of shouting. It gnaws instead of stabbing. You feel it in the hesitation before pressing send, the delay before accepting an invitation, the hours spent researching something simple, and the way your mind replays decisions long after they're made. You start thinking, what if there's a better option? What if I regret this? What if I miss out on something else? What if I look back and wish I had chosen differently? This mental pressure isn't imaginary. Psychologists call it choice anxiety, a form of cognitive stress born from the responsibility of choosing in a world where choices never seem to end. And the cruel irony? The more choices you have, the more blame you put on yourself if things don't go perfectly. When there were only 2 TV channels, nobody cried about picking the wrong show. Today, if you spend 50 minutes searching for a movie and end up watching something mid, you feel like you wasted your night. More choice equals more responsibility. More responsibility equals more stress. More stress equals less happiness. Freedom becomes a trap. The fear of regret before anything even happens. Regret used to be something that happened after a decision. But in today's world, regret shows up before you even decide. Pre-regret. You worry about disappointment that hasn't even happened yet. This fear makes decisions feel heavier. It nudges you into endless comparison. It convinces you that the perfect choice is out there, somewhere, and that you'll somehow fail if you don't find it. And so you hesitate, and scroll, and look around, and wait. Your life becomes a constant negotiation with imaginary futures. where pressure creeps in the strongest. There are certain areas where this pressure hits especially hard. 1. Career choices. You're not choosing a job, you're choosing a path. That's how it's framed. And that framing alone is enough to freeze anyone. 2. Relationships. Modern dating gives you thousands of potential matches, but also thousands of possible regrets. Every choice feels like you're locking out millions of alternatives. 3. Personal identity. You're told you can be anything, but that means you feel you must decide everything, from your passions to your purpose. 4. Purchases. Even buying headphones can turn into a research project with specifications, reviews, comparisons, unboxing videos, and Reddit threads. Things that should be simple become mentally draining. Why this pressure matters. This isn't just about cereal aisles or movie menus. The real problem is deeper. Choice overload steals your mental energy, your clarity, your ability to move forward. It can delay important decisions, increase stress, and even disrupt your confidence. Because every time you freeze, hesitate, or overthink, you subtly tell yourself, I don't trust my judgment. Over time, that can shape how you see yourself. The paradox isn't just about choices. It's about identity, the turning point. Here's the good news. Once you recognize this pressure for what it is, a predictable psychological pattern, not a personal flaw, everything begins to shift. You stop blaming yourself. You stop overvaluing every tiny decision. You stop believing that perfection is the goal. You start seeing that limits aren't the enemy. They're the path to clarity. Chapter 5. The brain was never built for this much choice. If you've ever stared at a menu so long that the waiter came back 3 times, or scrolled through TikTok for 40 minutes only to realize you still haven't picked a video to actually watch, or held your finger above a "by now" button feeling strangely stressed, you're not indecisive. You're not bad at choosing. You're not slow. You're not confused. Your brain is simply doing what human brains have always done, operating with hardware designed thousands of years ago while trying to survive in a world that has changed dramatically in just the last 30. This is the true heart of the paradox of choice. Your wants are modern. Your psychology is ancient. Let's break it down. Your brain loves simplicity, not infinite options. For 99% of human history, choices were limited, straightforward, and often life or death. There weren't hundreds of food types. You didn't have 40 potential careers. You couldn't swipe through thousands of romantic candidates. You weren't deciding between 300 brands of cereal. Most choices were hunt or don't hunt, stay or move, eat or save, build or rest. Simple, clear, necessary. Your ancestors never had to choose between 17 milk alternatives or 50 shoe styles. Their brains evolved to be efficient, fast, and energy-saving because wasting mental energy could literally cost you survival. Fast forward to today. Your brain is now being hit with more choices in one morning than your ancient ancestors saw in a year. And this overload doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't make you happier. It doesn't make you more free. It overwhelms the very machinery meant to keep you calm and clear. Decision fatigue, the slow drain you don't see coming. Every single decision, big or small, pulls a little energy from your mental battery. Pick an outfit, reply to messages, choose a playlist, figure out what to eat, pick which task to start, decide who to follow back, decide whether to scroll or stop. Each one uses a bit of willpower, attention, and emotional energy. This is called decision fatigue. And once your mental battery starts draining, your brain shifts into survival mode. You choose nothing. You avoid decisions. You procrastinate. You feel overwhelmed. You get irritated easily. You pick the easiest thing, not the best thing. This is why you can make smart choices in the morning and chaotic ones at night. It's not character. It's capacity. The pain of what could have been. One of the most exhausting parts of having too many choices isn't the choosing. It's the shadow of everything you didn't choose. This is called opportunity cost. your brain automatically imagines the alternate reality where you picked a different university, the version of you that chose a different hobby, the relationship that might have been, the outfit you didn't buy, the trip you didn't go on, the job you didn't accept. Every option you consider creates another timeline in your head, a ghost life you could be living. And here's the punchline. Your brain compares your real life to all those imagined ones, even though those imagined ones are perfect in your mind. Reality loses every time. Imagine trying to enjoy a meal while staring at photos of hundreds of meals that look slightly better. That's what your mind does every day with your choices. This is why regret today is heavier than regret used to be. Not because you make worse decisions, but because you imagine more hypothetical alternatives. Maximizers versus satisficers, the two types of decision makers. There are two main decision-making styles, and understanding yours changes everything. 1. Maximizers. These are people who want the best, not just something good, the absolute best option that exists. They research everything. They compare everything. They hate the idea of missing out. They want certainty before they commit. Maximizers tend to take longer to decide, experience more regret, doubt themselves after choosing, worry about better alternatives. Because when you want perfect, nothing ever feels enough. 2. Satisficers. Satisficers look for something that meets their needs. Good enough. They don't settle in a lazy way. They settle in a smart way. They understand a powerful truth. A good choice made confidently beats a perfect choice made painfully. Satisficers decide faster, experience less regret, are more satisfied with their choices, trust themselves more. Here's the twist. Maximizers almost always believe they're making better choices. But studies show satisficers end up happier. Why? Because happiness isn't about getting the perfect option. It's about being at peace with the option you pick. Your brain's shortcut, avoidance. When the brain senses too many possibilities, it often does something strange. It does nothing, avoids the decision, delays responding, skips the choice, leaves it for later. That later is usually code for I'm mentally tired. This is why you leave messages unopened. You don't start tasks even when you want to. You stay stuck between two career paths. You scroll instead of acting. You keep options open instead of choosing one. Avoidance isn't laziness. It's protection. Your mind avoids what feels overwhelming. But ironically, that avoidance only creates more stress because now you're stuck with an unresolved choice. This is the psychological loop behind procrastination, overthinking, and indecision. Why the modern world makes it harder. Here's the wild part. Choice overload isn't just a personal issue. It's a designed outcome. Apps are designed to give you infinite scroll. Stores maximize the number of products. Dating apps encourage endless swiping. Streaming services throw thousands of options at you. Social media shows you countless lifestyle paths. More options grab attention. More attention means more profit. Your hesitation isn't accidental. It's engineered. Your brain is trying to remain human in a system built to overwhelm it. The real reason today's choices feel heavy. All this leads us to a simple but powerful truth. Your brain wasn't built for abundance. It was built for clarity. The more options you have, the harder your brain works. The harder your brain works, the more you stress. The more you stress, the less you trust yourself. The less you trust yourself, the harder decisions become. And so the cycle repeats. Chapter 6. Navigating the Overwhelm. How to choose clearly again. If Chapter 5 explained why your brain melts under too many choices, Chapter 6 is where we rebuild the system, where chaos becomes clarity, and the endless maze of options finally starts making sense. Because the truth is, you don't need fewer opportunities. You need fewer unfiltered opportunities. Life shouldn't feel like walking into a supermarket the size of a galaxy. You deserve a structure that lets you move through choices with confidence, calmness, and direction. These strategies aren't random tricks. They're science-backed, brain-friendly, and completely doable in everyday life. Let's reshape how you choose. 1. Set clear parameters. Narrow the battlefield. Your brain thrives when the world is smaller. The fastest way to reduce overwhelm is to create boundaries before you choose. Think of it like shopping with a list versus wandering around seeing what happens. Parameters can look like choosing from 3 options, not 30. Giving yourself a time limit, e.g., 10 minutes to decide. Predefining your criteria. I want something healthy, quick, and under $10. Eliminating categories entirely. I'm only looking at black shoes. Instead of which job should I apply for, use which job fits my top 3 non-negotiables. Instead of what should I watch, use something under 30 minutes, motivating and not too serious. Instead of what career should I pursue, use which path aligns with my skills, lifestyle goals, and long-term direction. When you shrink the battlefield, you win faster. 2. Embrace the power of good enough. Here's something most people don't want to admit. You don't need the perfect choice to have a good life. You just need a direction. You just need momentum. You just need an option that aligns reasonably well with who you are and where you're going. This mindset, satisficing, isn't settling for less. It's choosing wisely instead of painfully. It sounds like, this option fits my needs, so I'll commit. I don't need to explore every alternative. I can adjust along the way if I need to. Choosing good enough gives you peace over perfection, confidence over confusion, progress over paralysis. It's one of the most powerful psychological shifts you can make. Because here's the secret. Life rewards the person who commits, not the person who endlessly compares. 3. The power of constraints. Freedom through limits. This sounds backwards, but it's true. Constraints create freedom. Artists know this. Writers know this. Creatives know this. Entrepreneurs know this. When you reduce your options, you reduce pressure, and your creativity skyrockets. Look at some examples. Instagram designers thrive with only a square format. Writers flourish when given a theme or word limit. Students perform better with clear assignment guidelines. Entrepreneurs innovate when resources are limited. So apply constraints to your life. Limit yourself to 1 app for learning. Limit yourself to 1 main goal per month. Limit your closet to a simple color palette. Limit your tasks to the top 3 priorities per day. Your brain loves structure. It's how it breathes. 4. The default choice method. One of the biggest reasons we get stuck is because we treat every decision like a major one. You need a system where small choices don't drain you anymore. That system is defaults. Defaults replace decision-making with autopilot. Examples. Same breakfast every weekday. Same outfit style. Think minimal wardrobe. Same morning routine. Same workout days. Same content creation format. Same schedule blocks each week. When the basics are automatic, your mind stays sharp for important decisions. This is why highly successful people often simplify trivial choices. They're not being boring. They're being strategic. 5. Trust your first reaction more often. Your initial instinct is usually your brain's most honest voice, but overthinking buries it. You know that feeling when a choice pops into your mind instantly, but then you start analyzing, comparing, doubting, imagining scenarios, scrolling for validation, delaying, and suddenly that simple choice turns into a mental marathon. Try this. Let your first reaction speak before you drown it. When choosing, if it feels like a yes, go with it. If it feels heavy, draining, or forced, it's a no. If you hesitate more than 10 seconds, simplify the options or return to your criteria. You'd be shocked how often your intuition is right. Your brain has processed thousands of similar moments. Trust the patterns it has built. 6. Limit information, not because you're weak, but because you're human. Research feels productive. Comparing feels smart. Gathering opinions feels safe. But after a certain point, more information confuses you, overwhelms you, creates unnecessary doubts. makes every choice feel heavier. Try adopting the rule of three. Only gather 3 pieces of information before deciding. Or the 2 review rule. Only compare 2 options side by side, not 10. Or the time boundary rule. Give yourself 24 hours maximum to decide, not weeks. This doesn't make you rush. It makes you rational. Over-researching is just disguised avoidance. 7. Practice micro-decisions to rebuild confidence. If you've been stuck in choice paralysis for a long time, your decision-making muscles are weak, just like any other muscle. The solution? Start small. Make tiny choices quickly. Pick a playlist in 5 seconds. Choose lunch without scrolling the whole menu. Reply to messages immediately. Pick your outfit in 30 seconds. Start tasks without debating. Every small decision is a rep. Every rep rebuilds self-trust. The more decisions you make, the easier decisions become. 8. Reduce your daily choice load. This is a big one. You only have so much mental energy each day. Treat it like a currency. Spend it wisely. Remove or automate as many daily decisions as possible. Pre-plan your meals. Prep clothes the night before. Set a schedule for your workouts. Use a to-do list with priorities. Create templates for recurring tasks. When life becomes predictable in the right areas, your creativity and confidence flourish in others. 9. Commit fully once you choose. This is where peace comes from. Half choosing is what hurts. Second guessing is what drains you. Regret grows when you constantly look backward. Once you choose, close other tabs. Stop comparing. Stop asking what-ifs. Assume the best. Give your choice a real chance. Confidence doesn't come before choosing. Confidence comes after you commit. Conclusion: you're not meant to escape choices. You're meant to master them. The paradox of choice doesn't disappear. The world won't stop giving you unlimited paths. But you now have the tools to navigate life with clarity instead of chaos. When you set parameters, embrace good enough, limit information, lean into constraints, and commit, choices stop being burdens. They become vehicles. And you, finally, become the driver again. Chapter 7. Reclaiming your freedom. Choosing with intention instead of instinct. After everything you've learned, the illusion of options, the hidden costs of abundance, the mental exhaustion created by endless alternatives, Chapter 7 is where it all turns inward. Because the paradox of choice isn't really about choices. It's about you. Your clarity, your awareness, your ability to pause before reacting, your relationship with your own mind. This chapter is the shift from "I'm drowning in decisions" to "I'm finally in control of my life again." Let's rebuild your freedom step by step. 1. Mindful decision-making, the art of slowing down. We live in a world that tells you to respond fast, choose quickly, multitask constantly, stay plugged in, never stop scrolling. But freedom doesn't live in speed. It lives in presence. Mindful decision-making means you pause before reacting. You ask yourself what you actually want, not what the world expects. You take a breath before choosing. You notice your emotions instead of being ruled by them. This alone reduces overwhelm more than any life hack. Try this simple exercise. Before making any decision, big or small, ask, what matters most to me in this moment? Not what's easiest, not what's trending, not what's normal. What's meaningful to you? You'll be shocked how quickly confusion dissolves. 2. Curating your environment. Fewer inputs, more clarity. Your environment is making choices for you every single day. Most people underestimate just how much. Think about it. A cluttered room creates scattered thoughts. A phone full of apps creates constant distraction. Too many notifications create reactive behavior. A messy workspace makes even simple tasks harder. Too many options around you steal mental bandwidth. If your environment is chaotic, your mind will be too. The solution? Curate your surroundings like you curate your music playlist. Fewer apps, fewer tabs, fewer clothes, fewer physical items, fewer distractions. fewer inbox subscriptions, fewer voices influencing you. When your input is controlled, your output becomes powerful. Minimalism isn't an aesthetic. It's a psychological weapon. 3. Creating intentional routines that reduce decisions. A routine isn't supposed to make your life boring. It's supposed to make your life lighter. Every routine you create eliminates hundreds of micro-decisions a week. Examples: morning routine reduces chaos. Daily priority list reduces confusion. Weekly planning reduces procrastination. Evening shutdown ritual reduces mental clutter. When you choose a routine once, you eliminate the need to choose it repeatedly. Routines give you stability, structure, predictability, calmness, mental space. That mental space is where freedom lives. 4. Choosing based on identity, not impulse. If you want to make better decisions with zero stress, you need one question. What would the future version of me choose right now? Not the tired version of you, not the stressed version, not the scared version, not the overwhelmed version, but the version that is confident, is focused, is successful, is calm, is disciplined, knows exactly who they want to become. When you make decisions from identity, you don't need willpower. You don't need motivation. You don't need perfection. Your choices simply align with your truest self. This is the highest level of decision-making. 5. Letting go of the fear of missing out. The paradox of choice feeds on fear. The fear that the better option is hiding somewhere else. But here's the truth. There will always be another option. There will not always be another you. FOMO steals your peace. FOMO keeps you indecisive. FOMO keeps you comparing instead of choosing. FOMO keeps you stuck in the world of what if. Letting go doesn't mean settling. It means trusting that you can adjust, you can improve, you can pivot, you can change course. You can make multiple good choices in life. There is no single perfect path. There's only the path you commit to. 6. Building confidence through decisions, not before them. People wait to feel confident before choosing. But confidence isn't a prerequisite. It's a result. You build confidence by choosing, committing, learning, adjusting, surviving mistakes, proving to yourself that you can handle life. You don't become confident so you can choose. You choose so you can become confident. Stop waiting. Start deciding. 7. Freedom isn't in having options. It's in having direction. You don't reclaim freedom by eliminating choices. You reclaim it by creating a path. A direction gives your life clarity, purpose, momentum, consistency, emotional stability. When you know where you're going, the noise around you loses its power because suddenly, not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every idea deserves action. Not every path is your path. Direction is freedom. It protects you from the overwhelm of infinite options and guides you toward the life you want, intentionally, calmly, powerfully. Conclusion: your freedom begins when you start choosing like you matter. You don't escape the paradox of choice by removing options. You escape it by rising above them, by choosing based on intention, by curating your environment, by trusting your future self, by committing fully, by letting go of the fear of missing out, by embracing routines that support your mind, by understanding that more was never the goal, clarity was. Your freedom is not in the world. It's in how you move through it. And now, you finally have the tools to move with strength. Chapter 8. The Liberation of Less. Finding clarity, creativity, and peace through intentional reduction. If the earlier chapters revealed the hidden chaos created by too many choices, Chapter 8 shows you the opposite side of the coin. Less isn't loss. Less is liberation. In a world obsessed with more, the real power lies with those who know what to subtract. This chapter is the turning point where you discover how reducing noise, options, and mental clutter doesn't shrink your world. It expands your mind, strengthens your decisions, and unlocks creativity you never knew you had. Let's break it down step by step. 1. The psychological power of less. When you eliminate excess choices, something shifts inside you. Stress decreases. Clarity increases. Confidence strengthens. Decision-making speeds up. Emotional calm returns. Your brain loves simplicity. Every unnecessary option you remove is like opening a window in a hot, suffocating room. Less gives your mind space to breathe. People think freedom means having more options. The truth? Freedom is the ability to choose without anxiety. And that only happens when you intentionally reduce what doesn't matter. 2. The creative magic of constraints. Limitation fuels creativity. It sounds backwards, but the science is clear. When humans have fewer resources, they think deeper. Too many colors? Overwhelm. Just 2 colors? Creative explosion. Too many tools? Confusion. 1 tool. Innovation. Think of iconic creators. Writers who produced masterpieces with a single typewriter. Musicians who created classics with limited instruments. Entrepreneurs who built empires with tiny budgets. Constraints force focus. Focus produces brilliance. When you limit your options, you sharpen your mind. 3. Minimalism as a mental strategy, not a lifestyle aesthetic. Minimalism isn't about white walls and empty shelves. It's about reducing friction. Clutter, digital or physical, drains your mental battery behind the scenes. Too many clothes slows your mornings. Too many apps weakens your focus. Too many goals divides your energy. Too many notifications destroys your attention span. Too many open tabs kills creativity. Minimalism is removing every tiny obstacle between you and the life you want. It's not about owning less. It's about needing less to perform at your best. 4. The freedom of a smaller, more powerful yes. When you say yes to everything, you indirectly say no to your own priorities. But when your yes is selective, your energy sharpens, your commitments align, your focus increases, your results multiply. A powerful yes requires learning the art of a protective no. Your life becomes lighter not when you add more, but when you remove everything that dilutes your purpose. 5. Decision filters. Choosing with confidence, not emotion. The liberation of less becomes effortless when you install mental filters. A decision filter is a simple question that cuts through noise. Does this align with my long-term direction? Does this reduce stress or increase it? Does this contribute to who I want to become? Does this simplify my life or complicate it? Is this choice driven by pressure or intention? The more filters you use, the fewer unnecessary decisions you make. It's like having a personal assistant inside your mind, saving your energy for choices that truly matter. 6. Eliminating the illusion of more equals better. Society sells you the lie that more choices equal more happiness. But think about it. More clothes equals more confusion. More apps equals more distraction. More subscriptions equals more noise. More options equals more hesitation. More desires equals more emotional stress. Less isn't about limiting your potential. It's about liberating your mind from the weight of excess. When you break free from the illusion of more, you start to value depth over quantity. You stop chasing everything and start choosing what's aligned with your highest self. 7. The joy of focused living. When your attention is scattered, life feels chaotic. When your attention is aligned, life becomes powerful. Focused living means fewer priorities, fewer distractions, fewer decisions, fewer commitments, fewer draining people, fewer digital inputs, but also more peace, more confidence, more creativity, more progress, more emotional stability, more time for what matters. This is the liberation of less. It's life with intention, life with direction, life with clarity. And clarity is a luxury that more could never buy. 8. The return of your inner voice. When you simplify your outer world, You finally start hearing something you've been ignoring for years. Your own mind, your own intuition, your own values, your own direction. The more noise around you, the harder it is to hear yourself. When you embrace less, you gain something far greater: the ability to act based on who you are, not what the world pressures you to be. This is the true gift of intentional reduction. Conclusion: less doesn't make your life smaller. It makes you bigger. The paradox of choice taught you how abundance traps the mind. The liberation of less shows you how simplicity frees it. When you remove the unnecessary, you unlock the extraordinary. You think better. You feel lighter. You decide faster. You live clearer. You become calmer. You regain your power. Less isn't scarcity. Less is clarity. Less is peace. Less is you, fully awake and fully aware. Your freedom begins with subtraction. Chapter 9. The Liberation of Less. Why Constraints Set You Free. In a culture that worships abundance, the idea that less could make you more free sounds almost rebellious. We're conditioned to believe freedom means unlimited options, endless access, infinite potential. But as you've seen throughout this journey, too many choices don't feel like freedom. They feel like pressure, paralysis, and the constant fear of picking wrong. Chapter 9 is where everything shifts. This is where you reclaim your power by embracing the quiet, underrated strength of intentional limits. The unexpected peace of fewer choices. It starts with something surprisingly simple. When you reduce the clutter, the mental noise, the unnecessary decisions, the maybe options, space opens up. Suddenly your mind isn't constantly scanning, comparing, second-guessing, optimizing. Instead, it gets to focus. And focus is freedom. Freedom from the weight of what-ifs. Freedom from FOMO. Freedom from the exhausting pressure to maximize every tiny decision. When you limit your options on purpose, you're not shrinking your world. You're sharpening it. Why limits feel liberating. Most people think constraints are a cage. But for your mind, they're more like rails that keep you moving forward instead of sliding sideways. Here's why. 1. Fewer choices equals more clarity. When the path narrows, the direction becomes obvious. Your brain isn't overwhelmed. It knows exactly where to go. 2. Boundaries reduce regret. If you commit to a smaller range of choices, you stop torturing yourself with the 100 other possibilities you didn't pick. 3. Constraints fuel creativity. This is one of the most fascinating paradoxes. Give someone all the freedom in the world, and they freeze. Give them a frame, even a small one, and suddenly the imagination wakes up. Think about artists. Some of the most groundbreaking work came from tight constraints. Low budgets, limited tools, strict time frames. The limit forced innovation. Your life works the same way. 4. Less noise equals more identity. When you intentionally choose less, you start choosing more of you. Your decisions become clearer reflections of your values, not the world's endless menu. The joy of becoming a person with a philosophy. When you embrace the liberation of fewer choices, you start becoming the kind of person who knows exactly who they are and what they want. You don't wander through 40 pages of Netflix. You don't panic browse 12 job boards. You don't overthink every message, outfit, plan, or goal. You make decisions from a place of anchored certainty, not anxious possibility. Your life becomes more curated, more intentional, more you. The irony: less makes life bigger. When you strip away the non-essential decisions, when you reduce the default options that don't actually matter, you create space for the things that do. You gain more mental energy, more emotional stability, more time, more direction, more satisfaction, more peace. Ironically, by choosing less, you make room for more of what actually matters. A simple truth to carry forward. You don't need infinite options to be free. You need meaningful ones. And that's the real paradox. The fewer choices you allow into your life, the easier life becomes. The easier life becomes, the freer you feel. This is the moment the chaos settles. This is where choice stops controlling you, and you start controlling choice. Chapter 10. Reclaiming Your Power. Choosing with intention in a world of excess. By now, you understand the hidden weight that too many choices place on your mind. You've walked through the thrill of abundance, the crash of overload, the psychology behind decision-making, and the quiet liberation found in intentional limits. Chapter 10 is the moment it all comes together, the point where understanding turns into action and awareness becomes a new way of living. This chapter is about ownership. Your ability to stand in a world overflowing with noise and say, I choose differently. The age of infinite options and the cost we never talk about. Every day, you're surrounded by a fire hose of possibilities. Thousands of videos, hundreds of messages, endless career paths, limitless lifestyles, thousands of people you could date, a world full of things you could buy, could do, could chase. It feels empowering on the surface, but beneath it is pressure, expectation, mental clutter, and the constant hum of, what if there's something better? What if I choose wrong? Reclaiming your power begins with recognizing this truth. You do not need infinite options to create a meaningful life. You need the courage to choose intentionally, rewriting what freedom means. Most people chase freedom as if it's defined by open everything. But true freedom is almost the opposite. True freedom is knowing what matters to you, ignoring what doesn't, choosing without fear, committing without doubt, living without drowning in alternatives. Freedom is not the absence of limits. Freedom is the presence of clarity. When your choices are rooted in your values, not in the pressure of abundance, life becomes simpler, calmer, and far more powerful. The power of intentional choice. Intentional choice is not about shrinking your world. It's about sharpening it. When you decide what's important, everything else becomes noise. And noise can be muted. You reclaim your power when you shift from being a reactor to a selector. A reactor gets pulled in every direction by trends, expectations, and options. A selector decides what's worth attention and what isn't. Selectors live lighter. They live clearer. They live more boldly. The courage to choose with imperfection. A major part of reclaiming your power is accepting the truth no one tells you. No choice will ever be perfect. There will always be something else you could have chosen. But that doesn't mean your decision is wrong. Life moves forward through commitment, not endless evaluation. Once you choose, you gain something priceless. Focus, direction, momentum. The happiest, most effective people are not the ones who choose flawlessly. They're the ones who choose decisively, living the paradox with purpose. Here is the ultimate transformation. You stop seeing choices as traps. You start seeing them as tools. You stop chasing the best option. You start building the best life. You stop drowning in possibilities. You start defining your own lane. You stop fearing what you didn't choose. You start appreciating what you did choose. And that is what it truly means to reclaim your power. A closing thought to carry with you. The world will never stop giving you options. Notifications won't slow down. Opportunities won't shrink. The menu of life will only grow. But you don't have to live overwhelmed. You get to choose what matters. You get to limit what drains you. You get to design your own rules. You get to reclaim your attention, the most valuable currency you have. And when you choose with intention, something beautiful happens. Life becomes lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. And freedom becomes something you feel, not something you chase. This is where the paradox ends, and your power begins.